The Therapist and the Coach podcast is a space for real relational conversations about what it means to be human.
In a world obsessed with fixing, achieving, and self help, we invite you to pause, lean in, and discover the wisdom already inside.
Together, we explore how healing, growth, and transformation can happen not in isolation, but in connection.
Through open hearted dialogue, we challenge the myth of self regulation and self improvement, offering instead co regulation, psychological safety, and the power of being seen.
Happy
Lerae,
Thursday!
happy Thursday.
It's Oren Day. Thursday is Oren Day.
Is it? It's,
It is.
I'm so grateful.
Me too.
It's ours day, and we're very
Yeah.
happy to be in here.
Yeah, it is. I look forward to it. I think I say that at the beginning of every podcast, but
It's
here we are.
it's and that's what I'm telling people, when you want to go somewhere you really look forward to that, it means that it's right. If you kind of feel like I don't want to, then you just it's very different when you go to a meeting or whatever it is, and you just versus to so I
Yeah,
so
lean
look
in
forward
or
to
lean
that.
out.
It's
Yeah.
such a different energy of you. It's really alignment when you actually want to do or go or speak to somebody. And I
Mm.
think this is kind of like just to say that we want to be with ourselves and say, do I like this or I don't like that? So many times we don't have choices in terms of we have to raise kids, we have to do this, we have to go to work so many times that, but kind of like as much as we can, kind of to say that, do I want that? Does this person is bring me joy and lift me up or stay with me where I am and I feel nurtured, or I don't want to do that. So kind of like give yourself a permission to be you and do you, that's okay.
Yes, I do know.
So
And
it's this for us I think it's Thursday is something with it's on the calendar for us to do, but it's like such a joy to come and be together with whatever it is that we
absolutely,
are.
absolutely, it's fulfilling. And I appreciate you sharing all your thoughts about that, the like, the don't like, the making discerning choices and
Yeah.
noticing what you feel you want to lean into and what you want to lean back or just avoid altogether. Really, there's lots of information for us to help
Mm,
us make decisions about.
yeah.
And my language around that is very much anchored to soul designs and the work that I do. Soul designing being our original makeup, our pattern that, and really life and our decisions moment to moment, the choices that
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah.
If we're
Yeah.
using that methodology of, is this aligned? And what does alignment feel like in me, and what does misalignment feel like? And that's such a great place of discernment and ability to know and start to build trust with oneself as far as what's right for
Exactly.
oneself or what might not be at a certain time. um,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
on that
Ye-
topic, so I know I celebrated the fact that Soul Designs, a reflective guide to creating a practice of fierce honesty, vulnerability, and courage, is
A
out on.
beautiful book from the inside out, if
Yeah,
I
so
may
this
say.
is my guidebook to soul designing. So
Yes.
that's a good segue, actually, to just reminding folks that I'm so excited about this. And I'm bringing up this Finding Your Way Home guidebook that I wrote and is on Amazon. Because the second book that I've been working on, and it's a guidebook, it's not a novel or anything, this is actually reflective of my coaching work. So, since this is the coaching and the therapist and the coach podcast, a lot of the methodology and what I see happening in the coaching field. So this is for coaches, but it's also quite a fascinating read because I think it also speaks to what's happening in the world. So the full title of this book is Reclaiming the Heart of Coaching, a SourceWorks guide to understanding the difference between commodity coaching and source-based coaching. So this also is on Amazon, and really just trying to put some language. You and I have talked about how important language is, and just putting some language to what I see happening in the world where human beings are commodities, and this idea of coaching, and we've talked about healing and the co-regulating space and how that changes our brains, all that stuff lands in this space of being together and listening and seeing and being seen and being heard and loved anyway. Just that space. So that's what the source looks. So huge accomplishments on my side. I would like to
And
celebrate it
bravo.
here.
And I recommend to anyone that value human heart and value love and, pro-choice and want to
Mhm.
know all about that to get this book because it's
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Oren. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, one other bit of business before we jump into our topic, which you and I decided we were going to
Yeah.
continue with along with the imposter syndrome or
Right.
non-syndrome. I have a hard time saying syndrome because, it's something that you don't necessarily have to live with if you choose to work at, eradicating it within oneself. But we talked about, we're going to talk about individuation today and what that means from a psychological standpoint. I have my own take on that from a coaching perspective. We can play in that space. We didn't want to put this at the end in case people don't make it through the 30 minutes of our podcast. Um, but we are ready to invite people to this space and we're going to keep it really simple. There's no website to go to, there's no landing page to go to. There is someone to reach out to by email, and that is my assistant, Angela, at support at souldesigns.ca. So SOULDESIGNS.ca. Support at souldesigns.ca. And if you put podcast or join podcast in the subject, she'll just send you the link and the time. And you
And
just,
send like this in the description, we can send the
yeah,
email
so in
so
the
people
subject heading,
in
like
the
of your
subject.
email,
Yeah.
if you want to come and join this conversation real time on audio or video, you do not have to join by video. Just audio is fine. Um, and come and join us. And Angela will send you the link and you can participate with us in this conversation real time. Add your thoughts, challenge ours, bring your own, just be together and expand this conversation, not to include experts. We're all experts in our own right, but
Right.
to just join this conversation and breathe more life into it from different perspectives. So yeah, so again, that's what we're doing, keeping it really simple. It's an email.
Exactly. And exactly. And you said something so important. I think if people don't want to show their face or even their identity, it can be a voice, because we understand that sometimes it's being, in this kind of platform, it's being vulnerable, and so many people are not ready for that, but they want to share their voice or talk. Can be,
Yeah.
doesn't have to be with any identity, just it can be through the voice with different name, whatever it is, and join our conversation. Everyone is welcome.
And on that note, if you want to be anonymous, yes, please.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
as long
yeah.
as you're not intending to be disruptive, but if you want to be anonymous because that's safety for you, and you don't know how to make yourself anonymous on a Zoom platform, let Angela know that and she'll send you exactly what to do. So super easy. It's a few buttons, but you just need to know where they are and a few clicks and you're anonymous and you can
Exactly,
participate
exactly,
with comfort and
exactly,
safety that you have agency over. So thanks
exactly.
for bringing that up. All right. So that's our, I guess we've never really had a
That's
business to
the
deal with at
business
the
part of
beginning, but
yeah.
yeah, so let's jump into the conversation. And I love it when you start, I really appreciate it when you start from your perspective around these things. And we base this in the psychology, and then our conversation expands and we add in, and it just grows from there. So if you're okay with that, I would love for you to maybe define this idea of individuation from a psychological perspective.
Right. Thank you. I mean, you actually started with something so important to define what is individuation. A lot of us, many of us, so many times you see people who are very independent,
Mhm.
meaning that they might be young or all of that, like young adults, and they're doing everything by themselves. They live by themselves, men or women, and they're very independent in terms of action, in terms of being in the world. And that's sometimes, so many times is sometimes it is saying that they are individuated, they are their own, but so many times this is not the case. meaning that you can see two sides of the same coin. People who are visibly dependent, you can see they're scared, they want to be next to somebody, they need somebody with them, and that's very obvious. Versus people who said, I don't need anybody. I'm good by
Hyper
myself.
independence almost.
Yeah, yeah. So it's actually doesn't mean that they are individuated inside. It means that they don't trust anyone, and then their defenses, it says like, I'm going to do it by myself because they don't trust that anybody can be there for them based on their experiences in the past. So it is really important for me to start by saying that so many times when you see something and you see, oh, that person is completely like you can see from the same home, one kid is visibly, dependent, and the other one is completely gone to the other side of the world and doing their own and feels like they're completely independent. That might not be the case. It might be that they just have different ways to cope with dependency by actually running and producing and keeping themselves up and alive, but anxiety drives driven them. They cannot stand a second by themselves. They might be medicated constantly with things that society tells them this is actually a
Mhm.
good thing. You get more wealth, you get a nice apartment, you get the dog, all the things that you need to get in order for society to show to society that I'm a successful. So you can be
Mhm.
successful, but still very dependent inside because you have to keep going regulating yourself because you are, in a way, half inside. You complete it with other things. Could be completed with another person that you're with, that you
Mhm.
both dependent on each other, maybe very successful, maybe to the world you're showing that you made it, that society tells you that you are a success. You might be a success in terms of financially, but inside you might be not be able to live without each other. And I'm not talking about love. I'm talking about
Yes,
dependency.
you're talking about codependency or
I'm talking about
dependency.
codependency that actually has to do with the individuation. Because if
Yeah.
you're not really, I usually show it in a very simple way. The way that relationship actually can work in a healthy way, any kind of relationship, is when we are whole, like let's just have a circle, a whole circle. Then the other person is another whole circle. And then you kind of interact on the way and you share some things together. Not when you hear all these songs, oh, he complete me and I complete her. That's usually not a good sign, actually, because we don't want anybody to complete us or to give us something that we cannot inherently have from the inside, meaning that we're not. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Beautiful. Because if we are half and another half, then imagine that you cannot move. It's like almost you have a rope around you,
Mm.
both of you. You can't live with each other, but you can also be independent and move without that.
Mm.
So the individuation part starts actually. By the way, before I start, I wanted to ask you if you have anything to say because I didn't start actually saying all where it starts, but I want to hear you first of all before I dive in.
Okay, I really appreciate that because I do have some things to say because I'm so big on language. We're talking about dependency, but and you use the language healthy relationship. There is a word associated with that, and that is interdependence. Interdependence, where these two circles. So I held this up because I do have little cue cards. So we've got, and this could be female, female, male, male. It doesn't matter. This is just a, I guess
Yeah,
a
yeah,
heterosexual couple, but there's an overlap, but it's not an enmeshment. It's not a consuming of one another. There's a healthy, me and a healthy them. And then there's this place where we interact. And then there's the relationship, which is actually a separate thing altogether that we both contribute to.
exactly.
Um, so there's that. So this idea of interdependence. So if people are thinking, oh, they've heard the word codependence, but maybe they've never heard the word interdependence. And there was something else I was going to say, but I think we'll just leave it there because I'm really curious as to oh, Carl Jung. Carl Jung, I believe this is a concept that he introduced. So if anybody wanted to research where this methodology or thought began around individuation, it is Carl Jung. And individuation is the lifelong psychological process of integrating the conscious and unconscious mind to develop a unique, authentic identity and achieve personal wholeness. You're talking about the whole. So that's where that language also is actually in the definition of what individuation is. So I just wanted to offer that as a grounding and an anchor
You know,
because you
that's
described
good.
so much and everything
Yeah.
that you just said sort of like sits on that definition. So thank you for asking. I am complete.
Thank you for saying all these important things.
Please dive off the diving board.
So we're going to dive now to the beginning of life and how the process of individuation happens. And that comes from a branch of psychology that calls object relations, that everything is built on the relationship with another person. That basically the process of becoming whole, because when we are born, we're completely dependent on our parents, right? We
Mhm.
just cannot feed ourselves. If we didn't have the attendance of mom or dad or whoever it is, we'll die. So the whole process starts and end with individuation. Doesn't mean that you're alone or you're separated, but you have you as a whole if all the ingredients are there. Now, nobody is completely whole. That's not going to happen. And our parents have their own.
Hey, are you sure?
No, it's so
Okay.
the sure thing is you're perfectly imperfect, including me. That's love. That's eventually love. It's like to accept everybody for exactly who they are. And that comes not being whole as perfect, but being whole as being who you are, and live your own life independently. So the process starts with us getting born and very, very young infants and dependent. That's what we call the fusion part. Mom is fused with mom, whoever is the take care. Usually it's the mom that holding the baby and basically fused with the baby, almost one in the beginning. Mom, because the babies have no way to think for themselves. They didn't develop brain capacity to think at that point of time. So it's all kind of like emotions and impulses, and they don't know what they need. So mom is basically embracing inside, not only physically, to be one with the kid, which starts actually in utero. It's one. And then oneness, that dependency, and that's important for me. I'm slowing down a bit so people can understand that dependency at the beginning of life is very important because we as societies try to look at dependency, which I understand where it comes from. We talk about adult people that's supposed to be interdependence and they are dependent. That's where the problems, are manifest themselves.
Mm.
If mom is okay to let inside, have the room to have the baby dependent on her completely, which she or she are dependent on there, then what happens is gradually, so I'm saying like this is one, mom is here and here is the baby and they're just one, like one unit. The baby have no clue who he is or she is, completely depend on the mom engulfing or not engulfing, embracing him or her and let him kind of like immerse in her river, so to speak, to be almost one. That process is so important. That start is very important. Where does it start to be a problem at that stage? Is that mom and dad, because at that point, mom is holding the kiddo, and dad's or whoever that is there, the spouse, if there is a spouse or any kind of support, is holding mom. So there will be we're constantly expanding the system in a way inside. Because if mom is tired, mom just had a birth, she needs to feed other kids, she needs to function, maybe to also to go to work and sustaining herself. It's and a newborn that completely depend on her. This is exhausting to any human being.
Mhm.
So mom's reservoir inside the limbic system, the room to contain is small. So at that point, dad's role is to expand the system and be there for mom so she can actually be there for the kid. We're talking about energy. We're talking about also how to do things. Mom cannot do everything. And she needs also the emotional support from dad, from whoever that might be, so she can at that point of time hold the baby. Now, holding, I'm not talking about just doing this, talking about having inside the room inside because babies are crying, they don't sleep at night, you have to wake up in the morning in the middle of the night maybe 10,000 times and then go to work. It's tiring, it's exhausting, the battery is going down very quickly. Now that has to do also with how mom came, because we all have different experiences. Some moms and dads are coming from a place that they have They had what they needed to get, so they have something to give. But if they are so wounded from the past and then have another person to carry, it's extremely hard. They have to give something that they don't have. That's where the baby start sensing. It's not a verbal communication,
Mhm.
but they start feeling that mom is holding, but might be holding that, and you can still feel the energy. And at
Mhm.
that point, they start crying more because they really don't get a calm energy because mom is just not capable. The poor girl, she just tried to survive herself while holding another being that needs her. So you start realizing how important it is for us as adults, not only to constantly make sure that we have space, and if we're not, we need to get help. If we don't have the space, we don't have the capacity, we are not functioning well. If we're not sleeping well, we're cranky in the morning and we have 10,000 meetings to attend, we can't even think clear. So the work usually about anything is not doing something, but actually make sure that you are attended at any point of time. And if not, getting help that you can trust. It's constantly keeping yourself clear. It's the difference between the times that you just kind of like so calm, you can deal with everything,
Mhm.
to a points where you cannot put a pin inside before you're going to explode. The same thing, just different reaction. Moving back to that part of the symbiotic part, the fusion part, they call it also symbiotic part. If the conditions are there and mom and dad are working as a team and they have enough room for that, the baby gradually getting what they need. If they cry, they're getting attended. So at that very young point, they start realize whether they're important or not to feel, because otherwise, if their needs are not met, babies usually are turning that against themselves, or kids against themselves rather than their parents. So they start feeling something is wrong with them. They start feeling they're not happy. They start building those injuries inside because they don't get what they need. So they act out more. They might cry more. And then the parents start getting more frustrated because they're doing everything they can, but it might be not what the baby need. The whole system is getting into disarray. Let's say that this phase of fusion, symbiotic part, is going successfully. The next phase is gradually going to what we call separation individuation. So the separation is important. Of course, it's important because if mom and the kid are staying like this, then the baby is not going to grow inside to become.
Mhm.
Here is the biggest thing that I want to say about that before we move to the next stage. If mom has their injuries, let's say mom is not whole. Nobody is whole again, but let's say that it's just like almost half. Mom needed to have a baby to just take care of because she cannot take care of herself, and that's the marriage are not that, and all of a sudden, like, a baby can fill my life. The baby start being for her emotional needs rather than her being for the baby's needs. The baby sense that. So the baby start unconsciously want to regulate mom,
Mhm.
maybe not cry because he or she feels that it's too much for mom. It's an unconscious thing at the beginning. Later on, as a kids, it's when we grow up as kids, we know when not to go to dad when he's angry, or not to go to mom because he's exhausted. I won't bother my mom. And kids do that. Kids are the best caretaker of parents or anybody else. They just want their parents to be okay. Because if their parents are not okay, they're not okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I'll stop in a second to hear you too, and then I'll continue because it's obviously an ongoing thing. If mom, then again, it's important because if mom then again is half, the baby would want to complete her. At that point, the baby stopped getting what he or she needs in order to grow. I'll give you an example. If let's say you talk about 1 years old or 2 years or 1 years old, and they're playing near mom because they don't want to be alone. They're scared. They need their mom there, and mom is there. And all of a sudden mom is out, and the baby, let's say the kid, let's say, is playing and having fun. The moment he senses that mom is going out, that play is over. He or she are going immediately to say, mom, where are you going? They're scared. They stop playing, they stop developing at that point of time. This is just a tiny example.
Mhm.
of how disruptive it can be when we are with somebody that depended on us, yet we are not okay ourselves. That baby, that kid at that point start taking care of you, of your emotional needs, and their individuation is not going to happen. They're basically going to be dependent on you being okay so they can be okay. Now, because you're not okay, they're busy taking care of you. They're not growing inside. So what happens is that fusion phase that is a healthy phase become unhealthy dependency as they grow, that becomes the problem. So it's never the kid's problem, it's always our need, our responsibility to take care of ourselves. So because if we are whole, meaning that we get our needs from ourselves, we don't need the kid to take care of us, and thus we can be there for them the way they need. I'll give you another example before I stop and give you the microphone.
Mhm.
Is that imagine, for example, that I'll give you an example for myself. I remember my mom, I would do things, I would play, and all of a sudden my mom would be angry with me. At that point, when she was angry, I felt she abandoned me. Not because she was angry, because I sincerely felt her inside that she's not with me anymore.
Mhm.
Now, there is a difference between a parent that might be upset but there for the kids because they can hold them, to a parent that have their own injury inside. Her kiddo, my mom's kiddo, got hurt from me as a kid. But because her kiddo inside probably experienced the same thing and nobody was there for her, the little young parts of her reacted to me as a kid and basically tell me, "You're not good. How could you hurt me?" I'm a kid. I'm going to do things that going, if you're not healthy, it's going to hurt you. That shamed me right away and terrified me at the same point, that same time that I'm losing my mom every time I'm myself. So you start kind of getting an idea how this process of dependency, both mom's dependency and the kids' healthy dependency, developing into later on pathological dependency, or something that actually you're kind of attached with a rope, whether it's
Mhm.
to the mom or later on to your spouse, because that's transferable. If
Right.
you don't have to be with your mom, it can be any kind of relationship later on.
I think that's a really important point, Oren, that the dependency, because it's where you've grown to, transfers to whatever relationship you deem
Yes.
that you that
Yes, yes,
safety
Lerae.
or that.
Yeah, absolutely. Lerae, something that's so important, and I'll keep you that. It's like we're not living that in the past. If
Yeah,
we
I
grew
think
up in age, that doesn't mean that kiddo inside got what she or he needed. It is going with us. That's the problem. That then again, they were dealing later on in life with so many addictions and agonies and dependency. It stems from that place.
well, it's the human paradox. It's the conundrum of being human. Wherever you go, there you are, and running from who you are doesn't help, because usually those parts of yourself are, where, they show up. It's like,
They
wait
would
a minute,
show
you
up.
followed me here.
You would
Wherever
show.
you go, there you are.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so it does explain that a lot. I just want to acknowledge, because we're trying to keep we've got 3 minutes left in our half-hour podcast. I know. So I do want to acknowledge that the way you're speaking about family, because there might be a variety of different perspectives, people hearing our podcast here, that it's just how you're thinking about it and explaining it. But the idea of family has evolved. And you spoke to this a little bit, but I just want to highlight it, that the caregiver, being the parent, could be a blended family. It could be two dads, it could be two moms, it could be a throuple. There's so many different evolutions of what, and to the definition of what family is.
100%.
But I
100%.
think, so let's not get caught up in that. Let's get caught up in what you're saying about the transference and how it happens, no matter who the caregiver is, if it's
It's
a
very true. Thank you for
heterosexual
saying that.
couple or what
Yeah.
have you. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that, because the concepts are so important, and sometimes we get caught up in the semantics of things,
Right.
and
Right.
it
And
takes
thank you
away.
for making that point. It's so important. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, yeah.
Caretakers can be somebody that a friend, a maid, somebody that you au pair
And
that
then,
actually
yeah,
raised you rather than your parents. Whoever is that
that bond.
object, that yeah.
That bond is transferable. And I also, if we in honoring the 30 minutes. Obviously, there's more to say here, so I'll let you wrap up in whatever way you can. One of the things that really strikes me is the lifelong process of this. And while we're talking about the potential for injury and or individuation not happening, and for the pathology to develop, there's also a continuum. So pathology is one
Absolutely.
extreme. There's a
Absolutely.
continuum of how this might show up and become problematic. And dependency isn't necessarily a holistic thing. It could be dependency in one area, but independent in another,
100%.
because you don't have that um, whatever the conditions are of that relationship. And then it's relational, that this is inherent because we are relational beings. We
Yeah,
can't extract
relational beings.
ourselves from our social reality. So by trying to escape through alcoholism, through Netflix, through all these different ways, running around the world, like there's all addiction, whatever it is, at the end of the day, it all comes back to us. And the
All comes
healed
back to
self
us. Yeah.
can
Yeah.
actually, if I heal one half of the relationship because of that co-regulation, I just wanted to say there's so much beauty, hope, and opportunity in the inward reflective healing process, because individuation can happen at any age, at any time,
Anytime. Yes.
and it
Yes.
will transform relationships. Either the
Yes.
relationship will end because the dependency can't, like the relationship doesn't have the capacity to co-regulate around the new awareness of one individual,
Yes.
or they'll grow together, and it can transform in a
Absolutely.
heartbeat. Like intergenerational patterns can heal an entire family because one person
100%.
has made that change. So
So
that's where
important.
I get jazzed about this. So
And
I'll
so
hand it over to you
important,
to
so
wrap up.
important, so important what you're saying. Because, and thank you for saying that when I'm talking about, I'm not talking about either or, I'm talking about
Yes,
if it's that happened, then the whole thing happened. We have different, all of us, literally all of us are wounded in that way or another. It's wounded doesn't mean to
it's
be
the
that
human condition.
it's a human conditions. We are, our parents then again thought that the best that they could do at that point of time, they got it from their own parents, tried to do the best they could. It might be that the injuries are going prolonged throughout the intergenerations, and then we continued better. But the good news is what we're doing here is to get people to help people to understand what it takes, really truly takes. And it's not reading, it's not technique, it's not any of it. It's relational. And relationship then again created those wounds. Different kind of relationship will heal the wounds. And that's a guarantee. Relationship hurt us, and the different kind of relationship will heal us and open up doors that you have never thought possible before.
Gosh, the way you said that is so profound. The I call it the rock and the hard place. I've talked about the conundrum, but the idea that the relationship that if it's relationship that hurt us, it's relationship that heals us, and yet that sounds so, it's so easy to say, and yet the chasm between those two, of mistrust, of fear, of not allowing myself to be hurt again, because my psyche, which is so adaptable and brilliant, has put in these behavior patterns and mechanisms to not ever be hurt in that way again.
So
so
true,
so
so
there's
true,
such a
so true.
gap between the thing that
Yes.
can heal me,
It's
which is
almost paradoxical. We need to
it
trust something
is
that we couldn't trust before. It's like,
it
how could I trust people when they hurt me?
exactly. Exactly. There's a lyric in a song by Nico Case. My own blood is too dangerous. Like the
Mm,
tenderness in my heart is for strangers because my
mm,
own blood is too dangerous. Like meaning my family
mm.
line. Or I mean, it's so profound. But
It is.
again, what I really hope that people are partly taking away from this conversation, along with your brilliant explanations, is that this is a human condition.
Yes.
One is not wrong for having these wounds, for
No.
feeling like an imposter. And it's the idea and the shame around thinking I'm the only one that keeps
Right.
us isolated, which is
Right.
why we're inviting people to this conversation. We want you to be part of our development, co-regulation, and expanding awareness around these
Yes.
topics. So
Thank
beautiful.
you for saying that, Lorraine. That was beautiful. And that it's possible to truly actually have a different reality. It's just
Mm,
then again, not so many times with the way we were taught that actually put us in that dependency and that shame and that nothing else is possible.
mm,
It is possible to have a very different life experience and healing. And then again, all of us need to heal from that injury or another. There is no shame. It's not like something bad. It's a human condition, as you said. But
mhm,
we were shamed not in a way to keep ourselves in the same place, to being controlled or being dependent for the sake of others needs other people's dependency that need us to be dependent on them.
mm,
It's true to
mm.
also governments and systems and all of that.
Yeah, it's systemic in the same way it's
It's
systemic in
systemic. So
families,
I
it's systemic.
right. So I think that we can stop here for because we have there is the section of individuation that I
There's
haven't
part
talked
two
about.
and maybe
Yes,
part three
yeah, they're going to be
as we
part
roll.
three because we just started it, and then I will talk about what happens after phase one and how actually individuation is possible.
Okay, beautiful. I appreciate you so much, and I am excited about this ongoing topic and conversation.
Absolutely, there's a lot
Um,
of good things to come.
yes.
And I just want to invite people not to do anything, just to reflect, just to sit, because we're a lot of them doing, just kind of soak it.
Mm,
And then we'll have more discussions to really understand the process of why so many times we are at that point in life when we might not be happy, we might not be happy with the relationship. It's important to understand where it comes from, because then we have the language and the understanding how to go about that to heal it. And it is healable, if that's a
mm.
word.
It is now. It is now. Let's
It's
create our
healable.
own glossary for our
It's
podcast.
healable.
So, one of the things that I would like to leave with today, and wrap things up, is something that I just observed in us, because part of what was exciting to us, because we just met and our third conversation was our first podcast episode, was we wanted to evolve our relationship in real time, like because and model relationship, and we're doing that one conversation at a time. And something that we do, well, you do, and I hope I do it too, is we yes and each other. So I really noticed that today. Again, I hope I do it, because a yes, but the but discounts everything. It discounts the yes.
Right,
It wipes
right.
it out.
It's
I
kind of
call it,
holding things together rather than this or.
yeah, I call it a butt wipe, if I may.
Yes,
So, but the butt wipes out the yes. And so then it's my thought, trumps your thought or something. But this
yes.
yes and is so generative. So it's a micro practice I wanted to offer people to take away from what we're
Love that.
modeling
Thank you.
as a really generative way to share ideas and be in conversation. And also, not that we have a lot of differences here, but we can contribute and share and build on ideas together with a yes
Absolutely.
and I'm not wounded by a but where I feel like, oh, you just discounted, because that can be energetic more than anything, and I feel hurt by it, and then I'm in competition, I'm waiting for my turn to talk.
And I would may add something, and then we'll have probably a podcast about that. It's neurobiologically in the brain when you hold things, both things, because and rather than but is either or, right? It's me
Yes.
or you. It's you're wrong, I'm right, or something, or at
Vice
least kind of
model.
a split.
Mm.
When you hold things together, this is how the brain actually integrates.
Mm.
Because we're hold all parties together. It can be two or three parties, and just hold them actually capable of holding them together. This is how where paradoxes are getting solved, paradoxically.
Mm. All
They can
right.
be they can all be one, even if it's black and white. Look at the yin and the yang. The black part wouldn't be without the white part wouldn't be without the black one.
Yes.
Together, they're having this beautiful harmony. So
Yes.
the brain actually integrates that way, where we're holding things together. And yeah, and when you say and rather than but, or feeling inside, I'm right, she's wrong, I'm right, then you are basically excluding a
Yes.
much bigger picture.
Yes. Oh, so what a beautiful micro practice that's emerged in our way of communicating, which I just want to highlight and offer as a practice for listeners to take into their meetings, into your marriage, into your parenting, and just see what happens. Just play with it. The other invitation that we made at the beginning of this was to join us. If you feel the pull, the tug, the inkling, and you feel a little fear, if you feel the fear and that excitement or anticipation is there, please heed the call and join us. Reach out to Angela at support@souldesigns.ca and send the link. And we look forward.
Promise to be very kind to
Yes,
whoever
and
that might be,
welcome.
because we cannot not be. So
It's a
that's
space
who
of
we
yes
are.
and. So your perspectives are
Exactly.
welcome here. And
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, so we had a hard time staying at 30 minutes today, but I think it was all right.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
okay.
All
It's
right.
okay. We're human.
All right. Goodbye, everyone. And thanks for listening and being here with us.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Lori.